Okay. Thank you all so much for joining. This is really nice to see you all, and I hope you're all feeling as excited as we are about this event coming up around the corner. So thank you so much for taking part. It's brilliant. Just to give you some introductions to the team, the planning committee who are on this call with me. As I think you all know, I'm Pip and I am the fundraising manager for Maggie's. We've also got a team of three from Iconic Cycling Events with us this evening. That's Richard, Jacko and Michael. You can give us a wave, you guys.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi all.
We've also got Nigel, who is a local resident in Watlington and on our planning committee and the fundraising board here for Maggie's as well. So thanks for joining us, Nigel.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And we've got Colin from Slime Cycle Works, who is kindly going to be our mechanic on the day. So if you've got technical issues, then Colin will be your guy and might help with some of those questions this evening as well.
Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thanks, Colin.
Have we got hair and makeup, Pip?
We can do some, maybe.
But, you know, for the chaps.
So just to give you a bit of a run through of how this is going to go, Jacko is kindly going to go through some of the details for the event itself and all the information that you need to know, with the other members of the team sort of pitching in with questions where needed. Let me just let all these other people in. And then I'm going to do a little tiny update for you on the fundraising side of things, and then we'll have space for questions at the end. If you've got questions as we go, please use the chat function at the bottom of your screen, so you can just type them in there, and then anything that's not covered, we can make sure we answer those at the end too. So I think I'll hand over to Jacko.
Thanks, Pip. Well, good evening, everybody. Say Jacko from Iconic. You've got Richard on my right and Michael on another screen. First of all, I'd just like to say it's an honour and a privilege for us to be able to support such a unique and great event for a superb cause. And it's an inspired idea. I think it was Nigel that had the original inspiration, having seen Sam Swanson toil up at Watlington Hill last year in August. And it is a superb idea, and you're obviously, you guys out there are duly inspired as well to want to take on what is a really meaningful physical challenge, as I say, for this fantastic event and for the charity. And it is an excellent day in prospect, and I think for us, just like Pip was suggesting, it's great to put some names to faces and start to build that sense of community, because hopefully teamwork, even for the individually Everesters, teamwork's a massive part of any event like this. And we're all one team on this one, all for a common cause. So yeah, brilliant to have the event planned and able to talk tonight. What I intend to do, and I won't, it really is by exception, I'm going to wave this little bit of paper on the screen, no expense spared. I'm basically just looking at the on-the-day riding instructions that Pip sent out last Friday. And I say, by exception, I'd like to go through some parts of that, because you've all had opportunity to digest them. And we've got the opportunity to ask some questions. We hope it's pretty much a standalone document that's self-explanatory. But no doubt there will be things that you've got on your mind that, and there'll be gaps in that we haven't necessarily identified. And hopefully we'll be able to answer them. If we can't tonight, then absolutely we will go away, find out that answer, and get back to you. There's no such thing as a stupid question tonight, so we can all get on the same page. And at the outset, I just say, prior preparation and planning prevents a poor performance. And so, as well as looking through that document in detail, I really would encourage you to look at the Everesting website, the CC website. There's lots of good stuff in there, very comprehensive in terms of the training recommendations. I know we're getting a bit late in the day now, so for too much fundamental on that, but nutrition kit, setup of bikes, and so on and so forth. A lot of experience in there, more than any of us will have had in terms of the Everesting event itself. So please have a look at that. And for us, above all else, in addition to making sure you have a really enjoyable time, is the need for safety on the event. And so we really will be trying to ensure that to the best of our abilities. So about the event in total, and this is really just rehearsing what's on the front page. In terms of our responsibility, we're responsible for executing it on behalf of Maggie's. So it's on that closed stretch of road, Watlington Hill. There will be no traffic on that road with the exception of the 2 event vehicles to support where required. And then if, not that this will happen, but obviously access for blue light services as well. There are 1 or 2 exceptions to that, which I won't bore you with now, but essentially it's a closed stretch of road. And we will have a maximum of 40 people on the road at any point in time on that stretch of Watlington Hill. We did that, from a health safety perspective. That still aggregates out about 25 meters gaps between cyclists, which when you consider some of the decline that's involved in that, I think is the maximum we want to have. So the scheduling that's been done has been based on having no more than 40 on the hill at any point in time. There has been that Strava segment that we provided. What I really would stress at this point in time is we don't have the responsibility for your recording your own ascents on Strava, were you to want to then have them recognised and you're being formally recognised as an Everester. So it's up for you to set your own segment. And that segment that we provided, it works out at 86 ascents. And it takes you from, for those that are familiar with the hill, it takes you from the bottom, literally where the road crosses, or the ridgeway would cross the road. There's a manhole cover there, and it takes you up to the top at the National Trust car park. But I absolutely acknowledge, and Sam on the last webinar, they referenced the fact that she was more in preference of going at the bottom of the hill, riding out down because there's that steep section at the start, about 15%. So when descending, to ride beyond that point, turn around and then go again. Now, obviously that means that she has to do, you'll do a longer segment. It's up to you guys how you want to play it, in so much as whether you want to really put strength into your braking to then turn around at the segment we provided, or whether you ride a bit further out. Clearly it means
so can I just ask then, so is it okay to go from the ridgeway? Because when I saw the little sign for training, I saw it was further down the road. Is it an option?
It's absolutely, Lucy, it is an option. If you want to go down as far, I think Sam went as far down as the Spire and Spoke before she turned round.
Oh my God,
I believe so.
that is adding so much time.
Well, there you go. You've hit on the end of it. It's for you to have a think about in view of how you want to play that. My own experience of coming down the hill there, just having done a sort of recce of it, was I wouldn't want to be having to, for 80 times, have to put so much effort in to make sure I'm slowing up and coming to a standstill just at the bottom of that 15% to turn around at that stage. I would probably overshoot by 20 or 30 meters to make it a bit more relaxed and then get a bit of momentum to come back up that steep section. But yeah, absolutely up to you. But I just reinforced about setting your own Strava segment on that, Lucy. So the other thing is event control. So we're going to have event control is going to be at the top of the National Trust car park. Everything will be there. But there will be a second checkpoint for control purposes at the bottom, where I just referenced where the ridgeway crosses over onto the road. And those 2 checkpoints will be linked by radio and mobile phone, both. So you'll have a permanent presence at the top of the hill and at the bottom of the hill. And just by conclusion of the overview of the event, parking. I know there'll probably be questions on this. The parking, given that the road is closed from the bottom of the hill, where I just indicated, up to the junction of Watlington Hill with Christmas Common there, the parking, what we're trying to encourage you to do, please, if possible, is if you are an Everester, a single Everester or a half Everester, places in the National Trust car park sufficient for you to park there. If you are a member of a larger team, then parking on the road from where it's closed at the top, from the junction of the hill with Christmas Common Road there, down to the National Trust car park. That, as I say, is part of the road closure area. And if you could be parking your cars there, that'll make life a lot easier for us. So that's a little bit of the overview. If I could then just talk a little bit through the rest of the document, I think that's and then as I say, we'll take the questions. I say by exception, really. So I've really covered the parking. Just so you know, there will be a marshal at the top of the road closure point, so that as people come in towards registration, and registration is at the event control in the National Trust car park, you will check people off as they come through that road closure point and then park in one of the 2 places I described. But then There is other overspill parking. This is primarily, I think, for spectators, we'd like to think, down at the bottom of the hill at the Spire and Spoke, and then the car park behind the co-op there. And so we would wish, if possible, people who are actually riding to use the opportunity to use the car parking I've just described at the top of the hill. If you live in Watlington, you don't want to do that, you want to turn up and you want to cycle up to start, we wouldn't prevent you doing that, along with observing the fact that there'll be very likely be riders on the hill, but not driving up. If you want to cycle up from the bottom to the start, then that is your own prerogative. But as I say, I think if you are part of or if you're a single or a half Everester, you'll want to have some form of administrative support, which we think would be best delivered from your car when your car parking. So yeah, so everything is as I say is in the car park at the top of the hill, the event control. There will be a permanent presence at the top and the bottom, but that is where registration is. We Iconic will be there during the silent hours, obviously, and most of the single Everesters, the whole Everesters and the half, will be starting between 01 and 0700 hours. The teams will then start between 7 and 9 o'clock, and then we'll have the half Everesters take over from 9 o'clock and on. There's been a schedule produced to keep us underneath that sort of 40 permanently on the hill, and it's been worked out at, subject to, and very kindly, some people have said how many reps they think they can do in an hour, and we've worked the schedule out to keep us underneath that maximum 40 during the course of the day. And if you want to interrogate that, we can do that offline. You've been given start times. If you want to know why, it's to keep within that schedule and some of the sort of planning assumptions that go behind it. And we can field those questions offline, either directly with Pip or Nigel, who's been sterling in performance into producing that schedule on behalf of all of us. In terms of the timings, as I said, the first. If everybody who was doing the individual Everesters arrive from 00:15 hours, so just after midnight, we'll give a safety briefing from 1:45, and then the individual Everesting can start from 1 o'clock. And as said, therefore, we don't expect many people on the hill during the dark times. Be a bit of a lonely planet for you guys, but we will be there to motivate, rest assured, during the course of the night. And as I say, from 0700, that's when it really starts to ramp up in terms of people actually on the hill, because that's when the teams arrive, and also expecting more supporters. And really, it cracks through until we put down on the program there 8 p.m. in the evening. We'll be flexible. If people are behind time, but looking strong enough to finish, and there's no other reason not to do it, then we will be flexible within bounds of reasonableness to see you, because ultimately we want you guys to achieve your aim. In terms of the check-in, it's as listed on page 2 there. The things I'd just like to highlight on check-in is you will be given a rider number, so it's much easier for control purposes to have that rider number. My colleague here showing you what that will look like. So we use it on lots of our other events. So it's literally be a number which we can affix with the cable ties that we'll provide onto your bike, and also a wristband to wear as proof of entry. So that's that side of it. In terms of the breakdown, if you like, of the site, the National Trust site, as I've said already at the car park, there will be enough car parking available for individual and half Everesters to park their cars in there. There will be toilets at that location as well, close to the turnaround point at the top of the hill. There will also be, say, initially the registration, but then that'll be where Maggie's based themselves. There'll be our event control point there. There'll be a changing facility, and there will also be a first aid point. And when you arrive, all those will be pointed out to you. And during the dark hours, a couple of those places will be illuminated. Well, the whole place will be illuminated, but we'll also just, for certain places, have these nightsticks, coloured nightsticks, so you know where to move around at night. And it should be pretty plainly apparent to everybody when they come in how that works, and we'll obviously be ensure that the COVID guidelines are in place. We do request people to obviously apply common sense, but there will be certain guidelines in place commensurate with what the rules are as at that first weekend in June. I've already covered about the recording the ascent. So it is up to you, please, to ensure that you have, and one of the principal points here is you have your segment on your set up on your device, on your bike, and that the device has got enough power, and you've got enough power to hand to be able to ensure that your device carries on during the day. We would hate you not to, as a result of one of your devices losing power, to then not be eligible should you wish to upload your result, as I say, to be formally recorded as an Everester. In terms of keeping you up to speed to how many reps you've done during the course of the event, we'll have two boards. We'll have a master board, which I myself or Richard will be manning at the top of the hill. So tallying you basically as you as an individual or as your teams come through, so we can be aware of how many reps you've done. And then we'll communicate that down to the bottom. So supporters who might be wanting to look at that at the bottom, because we've got two supporter zones, we'll have one near the car park at the top and one at the bottom. People can see, just for a degree of sort of interaction, as to how the various teams and individuals are getting on during the course of the ride. Food and drink up at the top end of the National Car Park. I'll just hand over to Pip, who will just cover that now.
So there's going to be some hot food and hot drinks available up in the top in the National Trust car park, and then Spire and Spoke, the pub at the bottom, will have their usual food and drinks available down there as well. And all the vendors have kindly said that they'll donate 10% of whatever they take on the day to Maggie. So do enjoy some food and drink from them. It'll be really good. We'll also have some goodie bags available, so each of you will have a few bits and bobs to keep you going whilst you're cycling as well. But obviously, if you have special requirements or you've got particular things that you like to eat, then just make sure that you bring them with you.
Yes, so two points. Thanks very much, Pip. The first is, yeah, on your own sort of cycling and nutrition, if you like, to keep, that is what is available is obviously through the commercial, but in terms of your experience for what you need when you're actually cycling, that nutrition obviously is your responsibility. And I would just refer you back to the Everest website if you want to get a good flavour, excuse the pun, flavour for what might be best recommended there. And we will have water, large water containers available up at the car park, and some more down at the bottom as well at the second checkpoint. Emergency details, as listed down, as I said, you'll have your rider number. That allows us to be able to cross-reference immediately to all the details you've already provided on registration. And in terms of the rider safety and etiquette next, we will rehearse the etiquette that we would really appreciate your following when you're riding as part of the safety briefing before you get sent on the ride. But that which is listed down there, the bullets that are listed down there, are the primary areas of rider safety and etiquette. And we would say that as is emphasised there, a hard shell helmet must be worn, and so no helmet, no ride. I think we just have to stress that one. In terms of the rider support, as I suggested earlier, we'll have an event vehicle to support the ride as and how required. But you've got Colin obviously available with mechanical support on the course. Colin, do you want to have 30 seconds just to outline your contribution on that?
Sure. Thanks very much, Jacko. So basically, I'm going to be there for minor repairs on the road. I would suggest that you bring a lot of your own spares. It mentions it in the on the day event details. However, I'll be there to support you and provide a new chain, brake blocks, putting all sorts of bits and bobs on your bike, stuff that you might already have brought. If anybody wants to get in contact with me and talk in detail about how they want to set their bike up, then I'm more than happy to take calls or contact me through Slime Cycle Works, Facebook or Instagram, and we can give you a bit more detail.
Thanks, Colin. That's great stuff. Which neat segue into equipment. There is a suggested and indeed elements of mandatory equipment listed on the day instructions there. I suppose the main thing is, as I said, given the proximity of your vehicles to the top of the National Trust car park, or indeed in it, we recommend that you use your vehicles in the first instances, if you like, as we said there, the personal event store. So those of you who are individual Everesters or half Everesters, you know, when you get to the top, you're not going to be any more than 25 meters away from your car. And straight away, you'll know where that is to be able to get to it if there's anything you need to resupply yourself with. And if you are obviously a member of a team and you're parked further along the road, back up towards the junction, well, obviously, if you're a member of a team, then I would be thinking along the lines of, well, if I need something, I'll get a team member. If it's not immediate, I'll get a team member to go off to the car to get it and bring it for the next time I come back up, and that sort of approach. A couple of other little things on lights. I mean, at night, you know, front light really optimally, probably something that's got about 600 lumens in it, which is quite a bright old thing. 400, in my experience, you get away with, but something at 600 would be optimum. And a flashing rear light, one of the smaller types would be good as well, just to, because it just throws that slight signal out, as you know, for people that might not be concentrating and coming up behind you. In addition to the more standard rear light. Just two other things. The first is, I mean, we would commend that you wear light reflective gear as opposed to something darker. I think that's something which is common sense, but it's worth reiterating. And in terms of music, if one wants to play music as you're riding, everybody gets motivated in certain ways. We can't dictate to you that you're not to do that, but we would say, just for you to have a little think about it, if God forbid there were an incident involving injury to yourself and it was found by your insurer that you were cycling whilst listening to music in a podcast or something of that sort of nature, I don't think that would be a favourable position to find yourself in. So we discourage that, the playing of music and wearing it as you're cycling. In terms of what we've listed as other recommendations, I just really highlight one, which is the power packs and the spare cables for Strava recording. That it is clearly there's means you perhaps you could do that in your own vehicles, but if you could come armed with sufficient power packs and your gear in a position to be able to recharge what's needed to ensure that your Strava doesn't stop, then that's what we'd want to do. If there's a problem with that, then please let us know in advance. But really, as I say, we want to avoid you not being able to upload the results for your Strava recording. First aid is on site, provided by Iconic. We've got the first aid training, and God forbid, but were there a serious incident and that we have to call the blue light, then we will do that. In terms of the rest of the document, really, I'll just cover two more. First is on supporters. We absolutely would encourage supporters, all part of the event, absolutely. In terms of parking, we really don't want supporters to try and park in the road closed sectors that I've just been describing. If they want to park elsewhere, absolutely fine. And in terms of watching the event, walking up the hill, there's no problem with that for those that are familiar with it. And I hope that by now everybody on the call has gone and looked at time spent reconnaissance is seldom wasted. So hopefully you're familiar with the hill itself. But there's a footpath that goes up the right hand side of it, so you don't have to actually walk on the road. We'll absolutely bring those and encourage those supporters to come along. We will have two supporters zones, if you like, set up. One just short of the top of the hill on the right hand side, before the National Trust car park. There's a little area you can view there quite conveniently, and also at the bottom around the change round point where, say, the Ridgeway crosses the road. And don't finish on a damp point, but there are some conditions there about poor weather and cancellation. That's absolutely an extremis. We really don't anticipate that the need to suggest that we either have to delay the event or pause it at any stage. But if that is the case, then we'd ask you to respect that. We will only be doing that in extremis. And if obviously there is a hideous weather forecast that we can unequivocally say is going to hit us, is in the consideration that it's just going to be too unsafe to ride, then that if the event has to be cancelled, and it would be done not later than the 4th of June at 10 o'clock. So that's a rattle through the on-the-day rider instructions team. I hope that's of use. I haven't got my specs on, but I see there's a good number of questions. So
I'm going to close in and pick up the questions. It's on a laptop, so.
So Pep, did you want to do that now, or did you want to just give a summary of the fundraising side of it before we go into questions in the round?
Yeah, let me do a little fundraising bit, and then it gives you guys a chance to have a look at those questions as well. So just to say, most of you are doing the most incredible job with your fundraising, so thank you so much. I really can't say that enough. Yeah, we are just blown away by how much some of you have raised already, and it does make such a difference to us here at Maggie's. I'm sitting in the Oxford Centre at the Churchill Hospital this evening, and yeah, even just the people that have been in today, your donations have already helped, you know, those people that are coming in for free support people with cancer and their families and friends. So I cannot express how much it means to us and those people that are coming through our doors every day. If you would like help and support with your fundraising, then please don't hesitate to contact me. That's what I'm here for, to help you. If you've got technical issues with Just Giving, we all have those, then please do give me a shout, give me a call, it's no problem. If you haven't started your fundraising yet, don't worry, there's still plenty of time. And just a reminder that we need you to have raised half of your target, so £250 by the 1st of June. But again, I don't want that to kind of put you off. Just give me a shout if you need some help, and I've got loads of ideas for how you can kickstart things and stuff that I can do to help you along your way as well. As Jacko mentioned, we'll be having some volunteers on the day itself, kind of helping us out with logistics at the top and the bottom of the hill, and counting off reps and things as well. If you've got friends and family who might like to give us a hand and kind of sign up to be one of our volunteers on the day, then please do send them my way. Feel free to give them my details directly and ask them to get in touch. That would be amazing. So thank you so much if you're able to help with that. I think that's all from me. We'll hand back to Richard and Jacko. Do you want me to go through some of those questions, guys, or do you know what you're doing?
No, I can see we've got them down the side of the screen here. So I'm just going to go through them one at a time, really. And actually, Pip, you know the answer to the first question. How many cyclists do we have on the event in total at the moment?
We have got 84 people signed up. So that's a combination of full solo Everesters, teams, and half Everesters as well. So yeah, quite a few.
Okay. I think that was a question from Trish, given your identity. This is from Jam, maybe James, I'm not sure, but would it be safer to have a minimum set turning point at the bottom? We've looked at it really closely, and I think what the verdict we've come to is it's personal choice as to what people need, what sort of length of road they need to turn round, and what they need to sort of crank it up again to go back up the hill. So we've got a closed road section which starts at the Ridgeway. As Jacko said, your wrists and your hands won't thank you for stopping there every time and turning round. So have a little bit of a run out. Again, as Jacko said, Sam went all the way down to the Spire and Spoke, but that's quite a lot of extra distance to cover. But you might be grateful of that. And I think from our point of view, we can't prescribe where you turn round. And I think everybody will pick their moment, depending what stage of the ride it is. And I've never been in the zone where you've done over 40 ascents. So I think it's personal choice on that front. But we will endeavour to make it as safe as possible. How many cars do we anticipate parking on the stretch between Christmas Common and the National Trust car park? I actually don't know the answer to that, because I'm not sure where teams are all coming from and who's coming by car. So Pip, I'm not sure if anybody's indicating.
Yeah, so I haven't collated that information from you guys, I guess is the honest answer. We have, the majority of cyclists are from teams, but I'm imagining some people will come together. A lot of people live locally. So yeah, I don't know, but we're hoping that we can sort of manage that with our volunteers as well, to make sure everyone can fit in that top bit of the hill safely. And if not, there is some kind of flexibility locally. So we'll just work that out on the day.
Lucy H. Good evening, Lucy. How near and where can spectators view? well, as Jacko mentioned, there's a spectator zone at the bottom, which is roadside looking onto the turnaround point and the runoff point. And there's a spectator zone at the top, which you can access on a footpath from the bottom. Again, that's a turnaround. I think we're going to discourage people from going up the side of the wood or the side of the road, definitely, and watching directly from the side. But I think I'll leave it at that. Hope that helps, Lucy. I see you've just had 2 Spire and Spoke pizzas, and they were delicious. So good promotion for the pub at the bottom. Going down again, Trish. Sorry, I've scrolled a little bit too far.
Well, there's another one from We Get There When We Get There about their team.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got the schedule at my fingertips, but Pip, I think we've got a breakdown for that team of how many can go on the hill at any one time.
Yeah, so for all the teams, the rule of thumb is just to have half your team on the hill at any one time. So yeah, that's the same for everybody, and I can come back to you guys with some specifics if you've got more questions around that. But
that's fine. We're only 5, so a couple of us at a time that'd be great. Thank you. Yeah,
and just switching in and out as and when you need to is perfect. So you can, if some of you are stronger than others, then you can switch in. You know,
they are, and it's not me.
Moving on, Trish, again, do we rely on you to count our ascents as a team, or do we need to also do that? Let's call it a collaborative effort. So we'll have somebody with a marker pen by the scoreboards at the top, and they will mark off a tally. But it will be because you've told us to mark off a tally. So I think that's how it will work. And then we'll relay that number down to the bottom board, so anybody looking at the bottom board can have a look and see how many they've done as they go back up. And it will be old-fashioned tallying up. For the full Everesters and the half Everesters, clearly it all relies on your Strava recording. So that will tell you how you're getting on. There's a question.
It's about 107 meters each ascent, I think. So you know, just divide your climb by 100, and you'll have a pretty good idea of how many reps you've done.
Well, therein lies a bit of the problem, because it depends where you turn around at the bottom, and I think we've mentioned that already. You can get a few extra meters on each ascent if you go a little bit further down towards the pub at the bottom, and some people may choose to do that. Your call. We will brush the road. When we're setting up the evening before, we will go down, and any loose chippings, any potholes, we will mark out. We'll fill what we can with sand, and we'll try and give the road surface, let's call it, a bit of treatment. It's not brilliant road surface, but there's a lot worse. And I think that what we do know is the council have got in the calendar for May some pothole maintenance on that stretch. So we will see when we go there.
There's only one bad bit about 40% of the way up, and that's only about 2 or 3 meters long on the left-hand side and about that wide. Yeah. I was just thinking about all the rain swept gravel and grit that's been sort of washed onto the road over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll take some stiff brushes and
okay.
we'll give it the treatment.
I'll try and get out the day before and help as well then.
That's very kind. We'll be there in the evening, actually. Do we need lights during the day? A back flashing light is always useful, but unless it's rather dark and, let's say, overcast, no, we're applying the highway code rules, so no light during the day. I'm just scrolling down. Cycling etiquette, which is the question from Martin, and good evening, Martin. Are marshals policing speeds going back down the hill? I was training on it the other day and people were flying down. I think our rule of thumb is in the dark, we've got to be really careful. So flying down won't be in anybody's interest. Sam, who did it, and some of you may have seen a webinar when we had a chat about it. And if you haven't, then it is available. Not sure where it is now, Pip, but we might be able to circulate it to the teams.
Yeah.
Her biggest fear was a muntjac deer coming out in the dark and taking her out. So I would say to all riders, be cautious descending at night. Yes, you can overtake, because some cautious is in everybody's mind slightly subjective. So we're not going to stop anybody from overtaking. If anybody is appearing reckless and intimidating another rider, then we'll have a word with you. Simple as, because it's in everybody's interest to stay safe. And I'm hoping actually that you will chat to each other going up and down that hill, and it can be quite sociable, because it'll be a long old day if you're not. So I hope that answers the question, and I'm not deliberately being facetious. When the weather is good, there are hundreds of cars and visitors to the hill. Presumably the first people will know of the event is when they turn up and find the closures. Actually, Lucy, no. Nigel is out leafleting a week before drivers to the National Trust car park, and we've made an effort to speak with local residents, and I think the word around there is people do know about the event. So yes, some people, dog walkers, will turn up on that Sunday morning for their morning walk. We'll politely tell them at the junction with Christmas Common Road that it's closed for an event, and we have all the relevant permissions, and anybody who has a problem with that, well, we'll deal with it at the time. This one, maybe I'm going to fire at you, Colin, actually. Colin, I'm looking at 17 reps, new brake blocks, recommended, question mark.
Who wrote that? Can they expand as in, yeah.
I'm in a team of 5.
Well, I think what they're saying is that.
Yes, I'm in a team of 5, so doing about 17 reps each. So obviously it's fairly hard on the brakes on the way down to keep to sort of fairly modest speed. So just wondering whether or not you would recommend new brake blocks prior to the event.
Oh, absolutely. Prior to the event, I would recommend new or almost new brake blocks, chain and cassette, to tell you the truth, and a good once over of your cables to make sure that they're in good condition. But absolutely, new bedded in brake blocks, sintered. I would go with sintered if you've got discs, because they're slightly harder wearing. They're the ones that squeak horribly. Resin, there's a good chance with a resin brake block on a disc, you'll just wear it out pretty quick. But yeah, absolutely, new brake blocks and spares. 17 laps, you should be fine, I would imagine. But there's no harm in having spares, and that's the sort of thing I'll help you with, fit if required.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Colin. Pip, one for you. I'm fundraising through Facebook, first time. Is it paid direct to you? I imagine that's Maggie's, not you personally.
To Maggie's directly, absolutely, really good question. Facebook is amazing for fundraising on, and yes, it does come straight through to Maggie's. If you're just able to share the link to your page with me, then I can just double check that everything's set up from a technical point of view. But yeah, thank you.
Lucy's question, can residents go up and down from their houses in their cars, and are walkers allowed to cross when coming along the ridgeway? The first question is, residents shouldn't have a need to go up and down the road, because the closed road section doesn't include any of the houses on the road. It only starts after the ridgeway, and it is a closed road. So, and we've got riders on the hill, and our safety protocol is no cars. So in a blunt answer, no, they can't. Walkers, yes, of course, we're not closing the ridgeway for the day. They can scoot across. but there will be a device to warn them that cyclists are coming down that hill. And I think, as we've covered at some length, they could be coming down at a fair pace because it is it's still on the hill, the junction.
We'll have our staff at that bottom point there, Lucy, but yeah, as much oriented to that as anything else, to be honest.
This is a good question from Jam, and I'm guessing it is James, if anybody can help me out on that one.
Yeah, it's James. I don't know why it's truncating it.
Well, my screen. James, good evening. We've thought long and hard about whether we should illuminate the road in some way, and I think we're against it, because once people's night vision goes, or whatever night vision they've acquired, to actually experience slightly brighter, slightly darker stretches, unless we were consistent all the way down the hill, would be a problem. So Jacko and I know about night vision, and what we want is a sort of a regular lighting scenario. Admittedly, that might all go out the window as somebody with a 70, 80 lumen light comes up the hill and takes away your night vision.
Yeah,
so
I was thinking actually it's negating. If people are coming up with really bright lights, you're buggered on the way down, aren't you?
well, you've got a bright light, you know, a pretty bright light on the front of your bike, so I think that's where caution will prevail. And I think our team, certainly in the dark, is full Everesters. So there's 6 at the moment, Pip, or 7?
6, yeah.
Yeah, 6 on the hill. So you're not going to see too many people. And if you ride with one other at that stage, then it'll be even less. So I think we'll play it by ear. But the answer to your question is no, we're not planning on illuminating anything other than the top and the bottom.
Good.
How's training going, James? All right?
Yeah, so. Going to go and do a half on Saturday, I think, just for fun.
On Wattlington?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good. No, I think if that would be consistent with marathon training, so good luck.
As long as the deer don't get me, little buggers are everywhere, so yeah, we'll see.
Here's a question from Kylie. Good evening, Kylie. If we park in the closed road section, at what point will we be able to leave? At any time. And that closed road section above the segment is accessible. So people will be coming and people will be going. So there will be marshals, and we'll just be careful about vehicle movement, but we can't tie you into any time. One for Pip really here, and I'm not sure if this is an Andrew or an Anne.
Andy, I think.
Or an Anthony. Do all members of the team need to be there for registration, or if we have broken the team into 2 shifts, can some turn up later?
I think ideally, if the whole team can be there for registration, then that's easier. But if it's not possible, then we can work around it on the day.
Here's a good question. Another, I think this is James again. If you're doing the full or half and take a break during the busier time in the daytime, will you have to wait to get back on the hill if there are already 40 riders on it? Mainly asking as that would impact the overall time. There'll never be 40 riders on the hill. There'll be less because we've built in a bit of headspace. So the answer to your question is, James, if you want to take a break, take a break. Our modelling has suggested a time windows on each ascent for a break. But if you take a longer break, and there are, Pip could just confirm this, there are some masseurs coming. One coming. So you might want to avail yourself of their support. You can take a break.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. I keep it's a long list. If you're a team of 2, is the expectation that we ride separately? Our rule on the hill, Ian, is that you can ride 2 abreast. And so what we don't want people to do is overtake two riders riding two abreast. So we'll brief you as to the protocol if you're trying to get past. But no, riding together is fine.
Great, thanks.
I think, Ian, that was because I was chatting to Tom, isn't it, who's your other...
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he was just saying that he was going to try and do like more than half. If I don't know if that's still the case, but so we just need to work out how you guys are going to do it so we can make sure your start time is appropriate for how you're going to ride. So just give it some thought and let me know. That would be great.
Yeah, will do. Okay, thanks.
Trish, here's one for the team. Chat on the way down, yes. Up, maybe not. I'd say chat both ways. In fact, you know, if you're just tapping it out going up the hill, you should be able to have a conversation, or certainly say a few words. Coming down, I think you might find you concentrating on coming down the hill with other cyclists around you, so that might be less effective. But I think everybody will find their moment to have a chat. Thea, good evening, Thea.
We'll see you on the day.
Got to go, but thank you. Looking forward to it. Okay, well, Thea might have gone, actually. Any central road cones? No, but we will be spray marking a notional middle line in selected points where we think it would be useful. So no furniture, let's say, in the middle of the road, but we will take a spray can and that will highlight a middle line and also any lumpy bits or areas that we think you ought to be aware of.
We'll be using cones and tape at the top and the bottom for a degree of marshalling, just so you're aware.
There are no more questions in the chat, so if anybody wants to shout them out through the conventional means, or say hello and which full Everesters have we got on the call? And half Everesters. I know with James, you're a full Everester, yes?
Yeah, I'm doing my second full Everesting for my sins.
and where did you do your first one?
That was a virtual one. I've done a couple of half virtuals as well. So.
And where are you from? Are you local?
Oh yeah, just down the road in Cookham.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. And any other full Everesters out there?
Me.
Hello, Ab.
Hello.
Hello. Are you a first timer or are you a seasoned?
I'm a first timer.
Very good. And are you local? Are you?
I'm coming from Coventry.
Oh, very good.
What?
Coming from the north.
Yes.
Have you had the pleasure of riding on the hill before? Now,
I did a few weeks ago.
Right. Okay. You're still doing it. Good man.
Yes. Yeah.
Aaron spoke as well.
Ab, are you coming with anybody? Have you got a buddy riding with you, or are you relying on?
No, I'm relying on everybody else.
Very, very good. And are you a club cyclist, or what?
I'm a member of Coventry Road Club. So I've been working on the mileage and the hills locally, but I think I might come back down to Oxford and have another go.
Very good. But you're not persuaded any of your colleagues at the club to
I've tried to. I tried to, but they all sort of oh no.
Exactly. Yeah, I would imagine that's a fairly frequent reaction.
Yeah.
Have we got any other full Everesters out there? Please say hi.
I've got one as well.
Will and
this is my housemate Josh as well. He's part of the team.
I'm the team.
Hey, awesome. So where are you guys coming from?
The lovely borough of Stockwell in not particularly. Not great for training, but uploading on.
I think you're blinking and missing it
later on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You better get to Crystal Palace.
Yeah, good day. We'll be prepped. We're ready, mentally, physically.
If you're doing the full Everest, how many times will you do it before you have to do the real thing? How many climbs?
Good question, Lucy. I would like to.
Well, I think you should think about it, Will.
I'm planning to do 40 next weekend. So that would
On
be
the hill?
on the hill. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the plan. I actually was going to ask a question around where's the best place to like leave nutrition. So if we have like some bottles laying around, is there space at the top of the hill, at the turnaround points?
Where are you coming by car?
Yeah, I'll be driving.
Yeah, so your car will be in the National Trust car park, which is at the top of it's at the turnaround point at the top of the hill.
So within 25 meters of that turnaround point, Will. So
I would keep all your kit in your car, so you know where to go every time you want to dig into it.
The other thing I was going to ask, I'm not sure if anyone's actually done this before, but how did people break down their laps? Do they do it in 10s, 20s? What kind of strategy do people take? Do you think it's best to pause more often or try and get a big chunk out of the way and have longer breaks?
I just point you to the Everesting website.
Cool.
Yeah, and the Guy Lightspeed website as well.
Yeah, everybody is different.
There's also a Facebook official Everesting group which has some really good resources on, so check that out.
thanks, Kylie. Excellent.
Whatever, it's a mental game, because if you can do half Everesting, that's the body. After about 50 or 60%, it's just mind. It's just the mental game to do it.
This man will be keeping the mentals going after halfway.
That's what I am.
Can't we have clinical psychologist from Maggie's on the hill for live support?
Hey, go on, Mark. Pippa, are you bringing the music? Are you bringing the boombox?
Yeah, got it sorted for you, Will.
I trust your plan.
The psychologist would just recommend it for all sectioned, I think.
James, I've got his head behind you there.
I've got a bit of a nerdy question, techie nerdy question, but I tend to record my rides on Garmin and then I upload them to Strava when I get home. Do people find that works, or is it best to go record straight into Strava for this sort of thing?
Personally, I use a dedicated GPS device. Probably have to.
I'd agree, because otherwise you'd have to be recording on your phone to record directly into Strava, and it's going to be difficult to keep that charged. So
you would recommend recording onto your Garmin,
yeah,
and then uploading it later.
Yeah. And also, if you've got a Garmin, you can stop halfway, you can charge it, you can stop the ride, and then you can start a new ride. And then there's a good website where you can join GPX files. So if you have to stop it, at least you've got half of it, and then you can do the second one. You get 2 files, you can join them at the end.
Right. Or you can just upload them as individual rides, presumably.
You can, but if you want to go into the Hall of Fame for Everesting CC, then you need to do a single, but you can join them together.
Okay, thanks.
Martin, are you a full or a half Everester?
I'm an 8th.
An 8th.
Me too.
Can I just tell what Sam did from a Garmin point of view? She recorded on Garmin. She had a backup Garmin running at the same time because she was terrified that the data wouldn't be recorded in the correct way. So I would recommend anybody who's listening, who's going to the Hall of Fame, to familiarise themselves with exactly what the Everesting site wants, and therefore apply it. And there's a number of forums out there. Again, we're not going to recommend anything from a personal point of view because we've not done it, but we have had a look at the various sites. Okay, anybody else? Any of the other full or half Everesters out there? Only it's good to see you in the light, because the next time we see you, it'll be dark. And you'll be getting on your bikes and we won't. Brilliant. And the teams, well, teams, we've got a real collection of different talents, I think, in our teams. What I would just say, come and join the party, and have a chat with Pip. If as the date gets closer, then nerves start to enter and you find people dropping out, because we've got 1 or 2 strategies in place to try and make it work for you. If anybody has any questions following this, fire them into Pip.
If in doubt.
What you really want is one of Susan Nigel's wife's scones. I think that would be more of an enticement. They're very good.
Oh, that's
See, that's tempted you now.
Nigel, no pressure to bring a little Tupperware pot of scones on the day.
No pressure.
Just saying. If that's all the questions in, then I'm going to hand back to Pip and wish everybody good training between now and the 6th of June. We look forward to seeing you on Watlington Hill for a great cause. And Jacko and I, Michael and the rest of our team will be endeavouring to make it as safe and as much fun as possible.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining, everybody. And yeah, please do get in touch if you've got more questions. That's what we're all here for, just to help you on your way. So please do that. And yeah, thank you so much for being on, and see you in person soon.
Thanks, Pip.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone. Take it easy.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.